Hello, welcome to Life Sciences with Matrix Uploaded. I'm Helen de Wet, and today we're going to be looking at the cell. In our bodies, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of what we call cells. What are these things called cells? Let's have a look at the graphic here. We know that the cell is the basic unit of life. Well, what does that actually mean? This bead necklace is made up of a whole lot of different beads. Each bead is a single unit, and if we look at this particular necklace, we can see that all the beads are different. Just like all the cells in your body are different as well. We get some cells that make up your nervous system, and they're all very similar. Your muscle cells are pretty similar. We have the cells that make up your blood, which are also similar to each other. In this bead necklace, we can take the necklace apart and have the individual beads in our hand. But those beads cannot actually do the function that they were meant to do, which is to make a necklace, while they're separate. They need to be put together so that they can all work together to make a functioning necklace. Also, if you were to take one of those beads and break it, the bead would no longer be able to function in a necklace. You could have all the spare parts, all the little pieces of glass, if they were glass beads that you're talking about, but those pieces of beads would not be able to function. You need the complete bead. We could say that the bead is the smallest unit of which the necklace is made. Now let's refer that back to cells. Cells are the smallest units in your body. Cells are made up of different component parts, but those component parts cannot function by themselves. They need to be in the whole unit, which is the cell, in order to perform their specific functions. And so we say that your body works as a complete structure, but it is made up of extremely tiny units called cells. We say that a cell is the smallest complete unit that can make up an organism's body. And we said that you can break the cells down into small parts, but they cannot work by themselves, and they certainly cannot keep your body functioning. And that is why we're able to say that the cell is the smallest functional unit in the body of an organism. Now let's have a look at some real cells, not diagrams of cells. This is a photograph of some plant cells taken from the skin of an onion. And if your teacher has the apparatus in your classroom, a microscope, you will be able to see cells like this under the microscope. It's very easy to be able to see them. They're actually quite large cells, and so if you peel the fine skin off an onion, place it on a microscope slide and have a look at it, this is what you would see. You would be able to see divisions between the cells, and those are the walls that exist between the cells. You'll see that the cells are filled with a liquid called cytoplasm, and you may be lucky enough to see dark spots in the cell, which are the various different organelles. Now that's a plant cell, or a whole group of plant cells, and you'll see that they have a pretty rigid and regular structure. If we have a look at cells that come from the lining of your cheek, for example, these are cells that are scraped from your cheek. We see first of all that they don't have a uniform or very regular shape, and secondly, they don't stick together quite as well as what those plant cells stuck together. But they do have other things in common with the plant cells. There isn't a wall around the outside of them to give them that nice uniform structure, but they do have a membrane around the outside. They're filled with a liquid or jelly called cytoplasm, and there is that dark spot that you can see in these cells very clearly, and that is one of the most important organelles inside the cell, called the nucleus. Now, what we need to remember when we're looking at a picture like this is that we're looking at a flat two-dimensional picture, but in fact what the cell is it's a three-dimensional structure. Don't lose sight of that. The basic parts of the cell, well, we've already mentioned some of these. The cell has a boundary around the outside. In plant cells, it's going to be a cell wall and a cell membrane. In animal cells, that boundary is only going to be a membrane. That's why the animal cell has a much more flexible shape than the plant cell. Both plant and animal cells are going to be filled with cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like substance. And then we're going to find different organelles suspended inside the cytoplasm. We need to be familiar with a term called compartmentalization. Just like a train is divided into different compartments, so the cell has these different organelles inside it, which compartmentalizes or keeps certain functions of the cell separate from others. So, for example, in the mitochondrion, you're going to get food breakdown to release energy. In the endoplasmic reticulum, you're going to get protein storage. And these two functions need to be kept separate. And so the cell places a membrane around them and puts them in their own little compartment. After the break, we're going to look at some of these organelles and explore what are some of the functions that they do and why they have to be kept inside their membranes.